Of all the baubles that can be bought by billionaires, none is more intoxicating than a big-time sports franchise. It's the ultimate vanity investment, and some owners, like Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys and George Steinbrenner of the New York Yankees, have become just as famous as their star players. Their ranks have included oil men, media moguls, garbage haulers, and a former showgirl, not to mention a few egomaniacs and eccentrics. And now, the most exclusive club in America is about to get a Russian who owes some of his fame and fortune to a bevy of party girls. We're going to tell you about that. His name is Mikhail Prokhorov, and at age 44, he is about to buy the worst team in professional basketball, the New Jersey Nets. It's not that often you get a chance to sit down and talk to a rich Russian, and we couldn't pass up the opportunity.
For me, life, and business in particular, is a big game.
If you could afford to do anything, would you do this? And hire a production company to put it to music? How about this? Maybe not. But Mikhail Prokhorov is always looking for a challenge.
You like danger?
I like to control risk.
Control risk.
Yeah.
By now, you have probably guessed that Russia's wealthiest citizen and largest individual taxpayer is an adrenaline junkie. He is also one of the country's most avid sportsmen, a former owner of a Moscow basketball team that won the European Championship. You will also notice that he is quite tall, 6'8" to be exact, as he trains here with his personal kickboxing partner, who is also the coach of the Russian national team.
I am addicted to sport. Without sport, I feel bad. In this case, it's some kind of drug.
How much time do you spend working out every day?
2 hours. Whatever happened, 2 hours, I have my workout.
Reduces stress?
I like to be in stress.
You like it?
It's my competitive advantage.
For someone who loves sports, stress, and challenges, there is probably no better buy than the New Jersey Nets. For a few $100 million, Prokhorov is just a few formalities away from acquiring 80% of the worst team in the National Basketball Association. 20 years ago, a Russian would never have been allowed to buy an American sports franchise, but NBA Commissioner David Stern says it's just one more sign that the world is changing.
America is really the only place where the question gets asked, what about those foreigners? This is a global sport. Our games are televised in 215 countries and 43 languages. So it was really a natural import of globalization.
It also has something to do with the recession. A number of NBA teams are struggling financially, and Prokhorov has the one thing the league and the Nets need most right now: very deep pockets, which come from a far-flung financial empire. He flew us to Siberia to check out Russia's richest gold mining company. He owns almost half of it, plus a big chunk of the world's biggest aluminum producer. There is a media empire, plus 2 banks, an insurance company, and lots of real estate, including this house, which has a built-in swimming pool, and of course, a fitness center.
That's your boat? It's my small yacht.
He showed us a model of his 200-foot yacht. The real one, he says, makes him seasick.
Where is it now?
Really, I don't know.
You don't know where it is?
No.
And we spotted some of his other toys.
It's brand new. It's Kalashnikov, but for special forces.
It never hurts to have friends in the special forces, and right now, Prokhorov has friends everywhere. The night we were invited for dinner, the guest list included a former Russian governor and one of the country's biggest movie stars, at a table laden with regional delicacies flown in for the occasion and endless bottles of Chateau Lafite Rothschild 95. After business and sports, Prokhorov says food is his favorite passion, followed by human interaction and beautiful women. And on that last front, he has managed to remain unencumbered.
Frankly speaking, I like women. In my heart, I'm still a teenager. And I am very open, and I don't want to hide this.
You say you're a big risk taker in business and in sports, but not with women, right?
I'm not to blame. I think women, they're making the same mistake with me all the time. The way to the man's heart is through his stomach.
He says he hasn't found a woman who can cook well enough to marry, but he seems to be looking for her in all the wrong places. When Prokhorov took us to Moscow's exclusive Soho Club, there were 20 beautiful women waiting in his private section to entertain him and his friends, and none of them looked like they wanted to spend their lives over a hot stove. As we said earlier, this penchant for pulchritude has gotten him into trouble before and helped him make a fortune. But before we get to that, it helps to know about his money and how he made it.
People say you are the richest man in Russia.
Maybe, who knows?
Do you know how much money you have?
No.
I mean, does 17 billion sound about right?
I'm lucky I have enough money to be really independent, but it doesn't drive me just to count money, thinking about money. It's only a side effect of what I'm doing in business.
Like most Russian billionaires, Prokhorov's fortune was molded from the ashes of the former Soviet Union, with a little bit of luck and the help of a powerful political connection. He was raised among the Soviet elite and studied at the prestigious Moscow Financial Institute, where he majored in international finance. So when communism and the Soviet Union finally collapsed, he was one of the few people who knew anything about world markets and free enterprise.
We made a crazy transformation, just crazy transformation. Can you imagine, 20 years ago, we know nothing about capitalism, nothing.
His expertise drew the attention of Vladimir Potanin, a future deputy prime minister of Russia with close ties to the Kremlin, who had just been given the right to open 2 private banks. He asked Prokhorov to run them as his partner. The downside was the job might get him killed. During the 1990s, hundreds of Russian businessmen were gunned down by contract killers hired to resolve disputes or by gangsters trying to muscle in on someone else's turf.
It was a Wild West. It was a territory with no sheriff.
With no sheriff.
No rules. You need to survive.
And he did survive, and with no blood on his hands. By the time he reached 30, he was already a multimillionaire. But a much bigger payday was just around the corner. In 1995, Prokhorov and Potanin's bank won the equivalent of the Russian lottery. Kremlin leaders gave them what amounted to an insider's opportunity to buy one of the state's most valuable assets, a huge mining and metals operation called Norilsk Nickel, which is among the world's largest producers of nickel, copper, and platinum. They acquired it from the Kremlin in a so-called auction for the measly sum of a few $100 million, in a process that even Prokhorov's business partner admitted wasn't perfect and probably not even legal under Western standards. But it was legal in Russia. Yulia Latinina, one of Russia's top business journalists, says it was sort of like a slam dunk. No one was shocked or surprised.
Everybody would have been surprised if they didn't win if they didn't win it.
So it was rigged.
Yes, it was rigged, but it cannot be explained in normal economic terms to an outsider, especially an American.
This is just the way these things worked.
You had robber barons, we had oligarchs.
Prokhorov transformed the decrepit mining company into one of the most productive operations in the world, taking it public before world prices for metals and other raw materials began to skyrocket, along with the price of his stock. And he sold at the perfect time, but not necessarily because he wanted to. Now we get to the party girls. In January 2007, Prokhorov flew a plane load of friends to the French ski resort of Courchevel and brought along 8 Russian models to help entertain them. Not an unusual custom in the upper echelons of the Russian business world, but apparently unknown to French constables, who took Prokhorov into custody on suspicion of promoting prostitution.
They thought that you were bringing prostitutes into the country.
I think yes, because it was absolutely a police misunderstanding.
And how long were you there?
3 days.
3 days. You couldn't leave.
It sounds strange, but it was really fun for me. It's a good experience. I like even such challenges.
It created a minor international incident, with French President Nicolas Sarkozy giving Prokhorov a shout-out as a man who obviously wants to please his friends.
Did you think that was funny?
Good joke.
And Prokhorov responded in kind.
You said the French elite is envious because they're lagging behind in fashion, in life, and in sex drive.
That's true.
The Russian government was not too happy about this, right? About the publicity.
It's natural.
French police never pressed charges, and according to Prokhorov, later apologized. But Russian cartoonists had a field day. A fruit juice company lampooned him in a commercial, and his well-connected business partner, Viktor Potanin, suggested it would be a good time for Prokhorov to sell his share of their joint ventures, which he did for $10 billion just 2 months before the international financial crisis devastated the Russian stock markets. With Prokhorov sitting on a mountain of cash, he became the richest man in the country, and it might not have happened without those party girls.
It's a part of any business to be lucky.
And you sold at just the right time.
Miracle happens.
It's safe to say that there aren't any NBA owners with stories like that one. And Prokhorov's life in the opaque world of Russian business presented a unique challenge for the National Basketball Association, which is charged with investigating the personal and business background of prospective NBA owners. But Commissioner David Stern says Prokhorov passed all the tests.
You think he's a man of character?
I think he's a man who has passed a very tight security check, and nobody has come up with any reason why he shouldn't be an NBA owner.
Commissioner Stern believes Prokhorov to be a shrewd businessman, although we found him to be a bit unorthodox.
Where's your computer?
I don't use a computer.
You have something against computers?
We have too much information, and it's really impossible to filter it.
He believes his biggest strengths are organization and leading people.
Any abilities you wish you had that you don't have?
Sometimes maybe to be less tall.
To be less tall. We are about to enter a world of very tall people with the NBA. You're going to actually be pretty short.
Compared with the players, yes, but compared with the common people, I am tall enough, trust me.
The deal to buy the Nets is expected to be concluded in the next few months. In the meantime, Prokhorov has been brushing up on his English and his jump shot. If everything goes according to plan, 2 years from now, he will move the Nets to a brand new arena in Brooklyn, home to the largest Russian-American community in the United States. Who knows? He may even find that perfect woman he's been looking for.
I'm really excited to take the worst team in the league and to turn it to be the best.
You think you can do that?
I am confident. Do you remember Frank Sinatra song, New York, New York? If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere.